Have you ever stood in your kitchen, staring at the pantry, and wondered, what can I eat today that'll keep me feeling vibrant for years to come? You're not alone. As we get a little wiser, let's say, past 60, we start thinking more about how to make every bite count. And guess what? Science has some delicious answers. Today, we're talking about 7 everyday foods that research shows can help us live longer, fuller lives. And the best part? They're probably already in your fridge or at your local market. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Another list of superfoods? Do I really need to start drinking kale smoothies every morning? Don't worry, this isn't about drastic changes or tasteless health food. It's about simple, nourishing choices that fit right into your routine. Let's start with 3 of my favorites, foods that'll make your body thank you with every meal. First up, these little blue gems. Blueberries might be small, but they're mighty when it comes to longevity. Researchers at Harvard found that folks who regularly eat berries, especially blueberries, have a lower risk of heart disease and sharper memories as they age. Why? They're packed with antioxidants that fight inflammation, which is like rust in our bodies over time. And here's the thing. You don't need to eat a pint every day. Just a handful sprinkled on oatmeal, blended into a smoothie, or even tossed into a salad adds up. My grandkids love them frozen as a sweet treat, and honestly, so do I. It's like nature's candy, with a PhD in health benefits. Next, let's talk about walnuts. Now, I've heard people say nuts are too high in fat, but here's the twist. This kind of fat is your friend. Walnuts are rich in omega-3s, the same healthy fats found in fish, that support brain health and keep your arteries flexible. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine even linked regular nut eaters to a 20% lower risk of dying from any cause over 30 years. But here's my tip. Keep a jar on your counter. Toss them into morning yogurt, add crunch to a stir-fry, or just snack on a few with a piece of fruit. They're satisfying, portable, and a lot cheaper than a trip to the doctor. Now let's get to the greens. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard. These aren't just rabbit food. They're like a multivitamin grown straight from the earth. Studies show that people who eat at least 1 serving of leafy greens a day have slower cognitive decline, meaning they stay sharper longer. And it's not just about the brain. The nitrates in these greens help lower blood pressure, which keeps your heart humming along. But if you're not a salad person, no worries. I sneak them into soups, omelets, or even blend them into a pasta sauce. My husband didn't even notice the spinach in last night's lasagna. Shoo, don't tell him. So far, we've covered blueberries, walnuts, and leafy greens. 3 simple, tasty ways to invest in your longevity. But we're just getting started. Up next, we'll talk about a humble spice that's been used for centuries to fight aging, a fatty fish that's like a fountain of youth for your cells, and a colorful root vegetable that'll make your meals as vibrant as your life. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. These next foods might surprise you. They're proof that eating for longevity doesn't have to be complicated or boring. Let's keep this conversation going, shall we? Now, let's talk about a spice that's been keeping people healthy for thousands of years. You've probably got it in your cupboard right now, turmeric. This sunny yellow powder isn't just for curry. Scientists call its active ingredient, curcumin, a miracle molecule because it fights inflammation like a tiny superhero. In fact, studies show that folks in parts of India, where turmeric is eaten daily, have some of the lowest rates of Alzheimer's in the world. But here's the trick. Turmeric needs a little help to work its magic. Pair it with black pepper, just a pinch, and your body absorbs it 10 times better. I stir it into my morning scrambled eggs, add it to soups, or even mix a teaspoon into warm almond milk with honey before bed. My grandma called it golden milk, and let me tell you, it's a lot cozier than it sounds. Next up, fatty fish. Now, I know salmon can feel a bit fancy, but think of it as an investment in your future. Those omega-3s we talked about earlier, they're not just good for your brain. They're like WD-40 for your joints and your heart. A Harvard study found that eating fatty fish twice a week can lower your risk of heart disease by nearly 30%. But here's the best part. You don't need to be a gourmet chef. I bake salmon with lemon and dill at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes, easy as pie. Or if fresh fish isn't your thing, Can sardines or wild-caught tuna work just as well? Mash them into whole grain toast with avocado, and you've got a longevity lunch that's ready in 5 minutes flat. Now, let's talk about something sweet. And no, I don't mean dessert. Sweet potatoes are nature's multivitamin. That gorgeous orange color? That's beta-carotene, which your body turns into vitamin A to protect your eyesight and immune system. And the fiber in these beauties? It feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which researchers are now calling your second brain, because of how it affects your mood and health. Here's how I make them irresistible. Roast them whole at 400 degrees Fahrenheit until they're caramelized and tender. Then top with a sprinkle of cinnamon and a dollop of Greek yogurt. It's like having pie for dinner, but your arteries will thank you. And if peeling them is tough on your hands, buy them pre-cut. No shame in making life easier, right? So far, we've added turmeric, fatty fish, and sweet potatoes to our longevity pantry. Simple, satisfying, and packed with science-backed benefits. But we're not done yet. Up next, we've got a pantry staple that's been a secret to long life in Mediterranean villages for centuries. A humble bean that outshines even kale in some nutrients, and a fermented food that keeps your gut and your whole body young. Trust me, these last two might just become your new favorites. They're proof that eating for a longer, healthier life doesn't mean giving up flavor. It means falling in love with food all over again. Let's keep this journey going, shall we? Let's round out our list with a food so simple, you might walk right past it at the store. But in places like Sardinia and Icaria, where people regularly live past 100, it's a kitchen superstar. I'm talking about extra virgin olive oil. This isn't just dressing for salads. Researchers call it liquid gold because its polyphenol protect your cells from aging. A spoonful a day can lower your risk of heart disease and even keep your arteries flexible. My trick? I use it everywhere. Drizzle it over roasted veggies, swirl it into soups, or dip crusty whole grain bread into it with a sprinkle of herbs. And don't worry about the fat. This is the kind that loves you back. Just make sure the label says cold-pressed and extra virgin. That's where the magic is. Now, let's talk about a humble hero, lentils. These tiny legumes pack more protein, fiber, and folate than almost any other food. Scientists found that eating legumes daily can add years to your life by balancing blood sugar and keeping your gut happy. And they're so forgiving to cook, no soaking required. I toss them into stews, mix them with roasted veggies, or mash them into a savory spread with garlic and lemon. They're cheap, they're filling, and they'll outlast just about anything in your pantry. My mom used to say, lentils are for lazy days and long lives, and honestly, she wasn't wrong. Last but not least, fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut. These tangy treats are bursting with probiotics, the good bacteria that keep your gut healthy. And here's why that matters. Nearly 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. A study in Nature linked strong gut health to slower aging and even a brighter mood. I stick with plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt. It's versatile. Add a drizzle of honey, some nuts, or use it as a base for dressings. And if dairy isn't your thing, try kimchi or kombucha. Your gut and your future self will thank you. So there we have it, 7 foods that science says can help you add years to your life and life to your years. But let's be clear, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Maybe you start by adding blueberries to your morning cereal or swapping butter for olive oil at dinner. Small steps add up. I'll leave you with this. My Aunt Margie lived to 102, and her secret wasn't a fancy diet. She ate what she loved, laughed often, and always said, food tastes best when it's shared. So cook these foods, share them with someone you care about, and savor every bite. If you've tried any of these, or have a longevity tip of your own, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if this resonated with you, hit like, share it with a friend, and subscribe. Together, let's make every meal a step toward a longer, sweeter journey. Here's to your health, and to many more delicious years ahead.